With captains Jerry and White, Cola Bad Bear, rebound. Madison Jackson, assists. And your shooter from downtown, Leah Beatty. J&V Restaurant Supply, savor the difference.
Well, welcome back. Episode number 3, 2 on a full. Two of my favorite gals joining me now, Alex Eschelman, SWX Montana Television, and Mariluz Cook of the Big Sky Conference. Thanks for being here, ladies. First, I got to ask you, one of our presenting sponsors here at all of our Skyline Sports properties, actually a variety of cool people around Missoula, the Hype House, which is a fun spin studio that's also been adding strength classes, Hot House Yoga, which I never thought in my life I was going to be into hot yoga, but I am. I love it. It's so great. And also Elevate Nutrition. They've been keeping me all fueled up as well. Have either of you ladies ever done hot yoga? And if so, what do you think?
Of course, Colter, please.
Obsessed with yoga. You're late to the party there, Colter.
I know.
Especially in a cold place, you know, when it all gets pretty cold in the winter for all three of us, it's so nice to know that you're going to have a guaranteed sweat, warm room. Like there's something comforting about it as well.
Totally. I'm with Alex. Like being from South Florida, I don't know what I was doing hot yoga over there as if we needed a heated room. But I enjoy it even more living out in Salt Lake now. Hot yoga is the best. I think it's so restorative. I'm like right now I can't because I have my little ACL injury. But Colter, you and I have talked so much about cycling and how fun that is. And I just think there's something so great about sometimes just slowing down and restorative. And again, like Alex said, getting your sweat on. So I'm all about it. I love hot yoga.
And Mariluz, you got hurt. I feel so bad for you. How's it going though? Is this going to be like an Adrian Peterson-like recovery? Are you going to be stronger than everyone?
TBD, but yeah. So I did tear my ACL skiing. You know, just embracing the Utah culture out here, and had surgery almost 5 weeks ago now, but recovery's going really well. I'm off the crutches, which is really nice. Every day I'm walking a little bit faster, and next week I get out of the full leg brace. So I'm very excited about that. Recovery's going great. Thanks, Colter.
Does it make you, does it give you a better understanding of athletes though? I mean, you're obviously an athlete yourself, but I mean, we see so many, I do a segment on my ESPN radio show once a month with an orthopedic surgeon, talking about actually what these injuries are, because sometimes we become just numb to them, right? You just hear, oh, this guy tore his ACL, and some people just think, oh, my fantasy team's ruined. They don't actually understand, like, that's a person that's going to have to go through, like, a crazy amount of rehab. Like, it's a life-altering event. But, I mean, does it give you a better understanding of what these guys go through?
100%. I'm all about the silver lining, and obviously tearing your ACL is not a good time at all, but it has totally given me a new understanding for injuries. I always, you know, I have a brother who's a very gifted athlete. It was very generous of you to call me an athlete, but I have a brother who's a really gifted athlete, has gone through so many surgeries, so I've seen it, but to experience it myself is a whole new ball game, and I totally think gives me just a new perspective when I'm talking to athletes about their injuries and about their recovery. So totally, that is the silver lining of this injury for sure.
Not to make this entire thing about injuries, but have you ever been hurt bad, Alex?
Thankfully, my injuries are just hilarious when I think about them, because my claim to fame via injury status, my very first football game at Arizona, I had so much adrenaline going, and I did the easiest stunt. Like you should never get hurt doing this stunt, and which is a toss toe touch. So I did. So a guy just threw me up, and you fly up a little bit, and then you just do a toe touch and then come down. Sprained both of my ankles at the same time.
Oh no!
Rolled both of my ankles, and this is like end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter. And I had so much adrenaline. I couldn't feel it until the end. I knew something was wrong, but I just went through the rest of the game. I still stunted, still tumbled, everything. And then I finally realized that I sprained both my ankles. And I was walking around with 2 ankle braces for a straight month. It was so embarrassing. It was so classic of me.
I want to see a photo.
I'll send you a photo. I'll send you guys. It's quite the scene. It's very fitting. It's very on brand for me.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, a concussion. I've never had broken bones, thank God. I've had a sprained ankles and a couple of concussions, and we're okay.
Well, I can't tell you about almost any of my injuries. They either came on the ski hills or fighting. So we can't talk about that kind of stuff on this
Right.
on this podcast, on this video cast. So 2 out of full for those that haven't been following along. We just come up with some broad questions about the wide world of sports and college football and all that sort of stuff. We rotate who is the fool each week. The fool is the one asking the questions. The other 2 are the ones giving the answers. Then the fool gets to provide some feedback. This week, it's Mariluz's turn. So what do you got, Mariluz?
It is my turn. So the first question that I have for you, conference play is getting started this week, which is so exciting. I cannot wait. Which game do you guys think is going to be the closest in score? And then I'll tell you mine. Colter, let's start with you.
Well, I love this question because there's some primetime matchups. And as we know in the league, there's always teams that sort of rise to the top in terms of interest and some of the hype around them. And obviously Montana's riding really, really high right now after, outscoring their non-conference opponents 120-21. That's pretty good. Montana State licking their wounds a little bit coming out of the Oregon State game. They both have games where they both have very big conference opening games. The Cats playing at Cheney against Eastern Washington, and Portland State coming to Missoula. Portland State won the last time they were in Missoula. It was 4 years ago, but a lot of interesting folds in that game with Bruce Barnum's son playing at Montana. But I'm not going to go anywhere near the Montana schools. I think the sneaky best game and the game that's going to be the one that impacts the playoffs the most is Northern Arizona hosting Idaho. Because I think right now we see sort of this defined top tier in the league. Montana State, Sacramento State are all right there. Weber State looks like they're having a great bounce back year. I think UC Davis will be in the mix. But I think this is a 5 or 6 team playoff race. I think there's 6 teams maybe that could even get in the Big Sky or get into the playoffs out of the Big Sky. For sure, I think they're going to have an inside track getting 5 again. Who's going to be that 5th team, though? Is it Eastern Washington? Or is it NAU? Is it Idaho? I think that's a tone-setting game there with those 2 teams. And I also think that those 2 teams are evenly matched as well. So, I think that there's going to be a lot of eyes on Weber, UC Davis, a lot of eyes on Portland State, Montana, a lot of eyes on Eastern Washington, Montana State. I hope there's some eyes on NAU, Idaho, though, because I think that's a really good game.
Okay, I like it. Alex, what do you think?
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that, Colter. And you just mentioned so the game that I'm going to go with is Weber State, UC Davis for a couple reasons. Mainly because next weekend, Montana State faces UC Davis on ESPNU. So obviously they're 1-2 right now. Weber State tied for first with Montana at 3-0. Definitely a force to be reckoned with so far going into this season. So, but I think the Aggies, I think they can rise to the occasion. I think they can pull off an upset here. So that's the game that I'm definitely going to be paying closest attention to, and definitely think that an upset could happen.
We've seen great games between those 2 teams, but we also seen Weber State drill UC Davis a couple times in recent years. And there was, I don't know if the bad blood's a way too extreme way of saying it, but there was a little bit of contention between those coaches, because I don't know if a lot of people know this, because recruiting isn't maybe covered as heavily in the UC Davis area. But Jake Mayer, who came in and was a great quarterback at UC Davis, he was once upon a time signed, sealed, but not delivered on the way to Weber State. And then UC Davis came in and stole it. And I know that Jay Hill was a little frustrated by that. If you're buying what Dan Hawkins is selling, I don't really know how you don't go play for Dan Hawkins. Like Bruce Barnum says, he's got more stories than Disney. He's never going to run out of his hilarious stories. But either way, I don't know if that still lingers, but there's definitely that's what makes conference play great, right? Is there's like these mini rivalries within the league, and that's definitely one. Even though Ogden, Utah, and Davis, California are a world away, those 2 teams have had some good games in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that one. That's actually the one that I had that I think is going to be the closest. So, Alex, great minds think alike there.
Every time.
We're always on the same page. We're
Yeah.
just always on the same page. But
absolutely.
I just think Jay Hill's defense, Dan Hawkins' offense, I'm really excited to see how that one plays out. And I'm really looking forward to checking in at this time next week and seeing which game was the closest in conference play, because this is my pick. This is my pick.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
So, okay, next question that I have for you all. Colter, obviously you've been covering the Big Sky a long time. Alex, obviously you do a lot of traveling. What is your favorite Big Sky town? Colter, we'll start with you.
Wow, that's a really good one. I don't want to demean any of the towns, but I very much enjoy most of the Big Sky towns. I'm not a city person. I was born in a town of 12 people. Missoula, Montana, where I live right now, is way too big for me. but of the American cities that I have gone to, Portland, Oregon, and Sacramento, California are two of my favorites. I love both of those towns. I actually get mad when people give Sacramento a bad rap. I love Sacramento. I think Sac is awesome. I think it has so much diversity. Alex is giving me such a funny look.
Colter, I knew I liked you, but now we're on a new level. You're going to be my dad's favorite person in the world, because his life goal is convincing people that Sacramento is a great place to live, which it is.
It is. It's a great place. But the town I'll go with, though, is funny, because actually my roots trace back to northern Arizona. My family's from Sedona, Arizona, and I have fond memories of Flagstaff, Arizona as a kid, but I also have even greater memories going there to cover Big Sky games. Flagstaff is just so unique. It has such a different vibe to it. It reminds me a little bit of Missoula. They both kind of have this, funky, cool vibe to it. But it also has the Northern Arizona feel, and it's also like something straight out of an Eagles song or something. The Route 66 vibe is cool too. So I love a lot of the towns in the Big Sky, most of the towns in the Big Sky, in fact. But if I had to pick one that isn't in the state of Montana, I think I'd pick Flagstaff, Arizona.
All right, Alex.
Well, Colter, that's interesting you bring that up, because obviously we are going to NAU this year, and I am very curious to see that college town, being that I went to school at U of A, Tucson. Everyone loved Flagstaff for skiing. So I never made it, unfortunately, but that has definitely been a bucket list item for me for a while. So I am excited. Also excited for Cal Poly, because you just can't go wrong with San Luis Obispo. You cannot. It's beautiful. It's a great town. It's like Bozeman on the beach, essentially, I think. But my favorite, and I think Ogden, Utah is slept on. I think it is an underrated city and town. When I went there, I'm like, this is beautiful, right up against the mountain. It kind of reminded me of Butte, but just a little different. And it was so pretty. And I liked the main street. They had some cool restaurants. So, and then you can't go wrong with the stadium. It was so beautiful. It kind of overlooks the city. So sits on top of the mountain. That's my favorite.
They got Ogden also. The state of Utah and Ogden itself made the biggest upgrade in my time covering the Big Sky, because you can drink real beer there. You used to not be able to drink real beer.
Oh, that's a big plus.
And now you can.
That's important.
Last time I was down there for the outdoor track and field, I went out with a couple Big Sky people, and I was teasing them. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to drink some 3-2 beer. And they're like, you can have real beer. I was like, oh, my God, my life has changed.
I love it.
It's funny, I didn't know that. They didn't sell.
I didn't know that either. I guess that was
great.
before my time. I've been out here since 2020. So, all right. Cheers. So,
Moving up in the world.
What was that?
Moving up in the world.
Moving up in the world. So obviously I'm not far from Ogden, and I've spent more time there than any other Big Sky town, just because of the proximity to where I live. but I'm gonna go Bozeman. Bozeman I went to in February. I know, look at Alex doing the happy dance over there. I thought Bozeman was so cool. I know also Alex gave me great recommendations for places to go, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because I know my girl was there. I got to spend some time with her, which was always fun. Despite it being in the negatives, because, you know, South Floridian over here, I'd never experienced that. My water was literally freezing in the rental car when I'd like go to breakfast and then come back. I really loved Bozeman. I loved the snow. I loved the mountains. I loved the Montana State campus. And mind you, I have not been to every Big Sky town yet. So based off of the ones that I've been to, Bozeman.
Love it.
Love that, Mariluz.
Okay, next one. I almost forgot that I was the fool.
It's okay.
I was like, okay, what's next, Colter? Okay, so fantasy, you know, fantasy football, big thing here in the Big Sky office. I am 2-0, one of the only people in the office. I'm really proud of that.
Also 2-0. Girls
Ayo. We love that. Now, if you could draft any Big Sky football player, past or present, like first pick to your fantasy team, who are you picking? Colter.
Oh, man. Well, so this is actually hilarious. I am in a fantasy football league with my brother and many of our longtime friends. It's the league I've been in the longest. I've probably been in it half my life at this point now. I've been in it since we were in high school, I guess. So, and when Cooper Kupp first got into the NFL, I always put a high priority on drafting Cooper Kupp. And all my boys made fun of me because they're like, oh, you're just drafting this guy because you know him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, okay, but he's also good. And then last year, he also became like the best player in fantasy. So I got redemption. I won my fantasy league last year because of Cooper Kupp. And then nobody can make fun of me anymore. So I think it's got to be him. But I'm trying to think of anybody else that'd be second place. But I mean, I think he's kind of the overwhelming favorite in this conversation.
Totally, Alex.
I mean, the Cooper Kupp immediately when you said that. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of big time pass players, but Colter, you would know that better than anybody. So are there any? I don't know. Who should I draft? I'm taking some advice from you right now. Who are those when you think of like your top 3 best Big Sky players? Whoa, sorry, 1 second. Your top 3 best Big Sky players, who are those?
Man, that's a good question.
Sorry, Mariluz, I took over the question.
No.
There, but now I'm curious.
Half over here. I love it.
I think the late Vincent Jackson, who tragically passed away a little while ago, he wasn't quite a Big Sky player because he actually played it. I guess his senior year in Northern Colorado, I believe, was Northern Colorado's first year in the Big Sky, 2006. He might have been a senior the year before they made the transition. I remember watching him in Missoula when he was a junior, and it was one of the best performances I've ever seen by an opponent at Washington Grizzly Stadium. So he's got to be up there. I'm trying to think of others. I mean, the Idaho quarterbacks from the late 90s and early 2000s, or the late 80s and early 90s, I should say, John Freese and Doug Nussmeier. Both those guys were great players in the NFL. I'm trying to think. If we had a Canadian football fantasy league, we'd have a whole bunch of options. I mean, you could go with Dave Dickinson, or I mean, half the quarterbacks still right now in the Canadian Football League are Big Sky Conference guys. But so many of the great players that have come out of the Big Sky, though, in the last 20 years or so have been defensive guys. Whether you're talking Jared Allen from Idaho State or Tremaine Johnson from
Alex Singleton
right now from the Broncos. So maybe if you could draft one of those guys' defenses. I mean, the Broncos' defense is pretty salty, so maybe you go with that. It's kind of like drafting Singleton. But in terms of offensive guys, it's incredible to think how much the league has been sort of branded as an offensive league over the last 25 years, but how so many of the great players from the league, like Corey Bierman's another guy you got to mention. There's a 10-year starter in the NFL. So many of the guys are defensive guys. So maybe you go with the defense that it has one of those guys on it.
On that note, just real quick, it still blows my mind to think that last year we had 4 now active NFL players on Montana State's team. Like that, I mean, crazy.
The funniest part is that I know Troy Anderson's blocking punts and making tackles now, and I'm going over to Seattle this weekend to to watch Troy against the Seahawks for the Falcons. But here's the thing. Troy Anderson's a great player defensively. He's a great special teams guy. I think he could score points in fantasy football on offense. I really do. I think if an NFL team put him on offense, that would be one of my picks because he could be like a goal line running back in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, Colter, we'll see you at that game. I'm going.
How fun. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time, Colter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be a good road trip. Cheney to Seattle. So we get to watch a little Big Sky action on the red and then a little NFL action and then come on back.
All right. I love it. I have to say, so we actually did our fantasy draft in the Big Sky Conference meeting room, and everybody, of course, wanted to take Cooper first. And so it was a whole argument who was, like, you better not take Cooper. Anyway, of course, he was the first one to go. And
I love it.
Happy for the person who got him. So I have to say, as a Miami Dolphins fan, last week was a great week for me. My team is literally named after Tua. It was a great week. Great week.
That was amazing. That's actually the football game that I'm really excited to watch this weekend is Bills Dolphins because I mean, Bills might as well like win the Super Bowl at this point. Everybody's so high on the Bills, but the Dolphins, I mean, Tua's six touchdowns. I mean, 6 touchdown passes. Amazing. Incredible.
We love to see it. And I also have Tyreek Hill on the team. So it's just the name of my team is Cheers to Us. So anyway.
That's a great name.
Thank you. I totally stole it from Google, but besides the point.
In just a few minutes, small business owners can now sign up for Blackfoot Communication Services. Whether it's dependable voice options or internet services, sign up simply by visiting blackfootsmallbusiness.com. Click on the services you wish, select an installation time and date, and you're done. Small business services at the touch of your fingers. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications and blackfootsmallbusiness.com.
Okay, last question that I have for y'all. Tomorrow is the first day of fall. Favorite fall beverage, dessert, whatever. What is it? Colter, give it to me.
Oh my gosh. I'm such a hater when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just live the same life all the time. What is I'll say my I know this is not even a fall thing, but I've been eating overnight oats for breakfast, and that's a new thing for this fall for me. So I'm gonna go with that. How about overnight oats and fitness during football season? Those are my two fall.
Okay.
Mariluz, didn't you just tweet about overnight oats? I swear you did.
I didn't tweet about overnight oats specifically, but just about my morning oats, like highlight of my day. Yes. I certainly did. Thank you, Alex, for noticing that I tweeted about that.
Got you, girl.
Yeah. Okay, Alex, what's yours?
Actually, okay, this is a couple things. Year-round thing for me. I'm not a pumpkin spice latte person, but I am a vanilla chai person.
Nice. Okay.
Shout out Starbucks. I'm not obsessive with Starbucks, by the way, but when it comes to a vanilla chai latte, I do love a good vanilla chai latte. The other thing, I just get excited for Halloween because Mariluz, you know this. I love doing like wearing a wig and doing I like dressing into another character. So that is what I get really excited for. I'm just excited to dress up.
I love that. That's amazing. Do we have a costume in mind yet, or is that a secret? Do we save that for a later day?
Well, I did watch the Shania Twain documentary last night, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'd be Shania Twain for Halloween. Ooh. Even though that wouldn't really require a wig because I have like similar hair as her, but love that woman. Anyway, go ahead. What's your go-to fall?
I'm gonna say the pumpkin cream cold brew from Starbucks. I love that drink. I think it is amazing. I was in line the first day that they had the fall beverages back, and so that's what I'm gonna say. I also just love pumpkin pie, so I'll be excited for that. But for now, pumpkin cream cold brew from Starbucks. That's mine.
Love it.
I got to tell you a quick Bobby Houck story because we had in the debut episode of 2 and a Full, we talked about the most entertaining coaches. Bobby Houck is the least entertaining coach during press conferences. He treats it like a game, like he's going to give you the least answer he possibly can.
100%.
I just know Coach Houck well enough so I can just tease him about it. because then I go to his coach's show on Wednesdays, and he's just ripping and roaring for an hour straight, telling all these stories, being funny, and I'm like, well, thanks, man. Thanks for the 8 minutes on Monday. Anyways, I believe it was actually somebody from SWX. You guys always do fun stories around the holidays. What's your favorite holiday meal? What's your favorite Christmas tradition? All that. Somebody asked Coach Auk what he was going to dress up like for Halloween. And he says, well, Brad Pitt, obviously, can't you tell? I dress up like Brad Pitt every single year. I look the exact same. And I was like, wow, you finally made a joke during a press conference. Thanks, Bobby. But it was all-time classic Bobby Howe.
That
is funny.
Wow. I'm just going to call him Brad Pitt from now on.
There you
Coach
go.
Pitt.
Coach Pitt.
Call him Brad Pitt and see what he does next time.
How long ago was that?
It was a couple years ago. This was probably 2018, 2019. It was definitely Here's the other thing you got to know. The more Coach Auk talks at press conferences, the less good he thinks his team is. The less he talks, the better he thinks they are. He says 2 words right now. He thinks they're really good. Yeah, he doesn't want to build the hype machine at all. And it's interesting tactic, to be sure. An old school guy.
Okay.
Mariluz, next time we see him, we have to be like, so I heard you're dressing up as Brad Pitt this year.
Oh, 100%. We will, Alex.
I love
Little birdie told me the other day.
I love it. I can't wait. 2 and a full here on Skyline Sports. Mariluz Cook of the Big Sky Conference and Alex Eschelman, SWX Montana Television. Great one this week, ladies. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Colter.
In just a few minutes, small business owners can now sign up for Blackfoot Communication Services. Whether it's dependable voice options or internet services, sign up simply by visiting blackfootsmallbusiness.com. Click on the services you wish, select an installation time and date, and you're done. Small business services at the touch of your fingers. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications and blackfootsmallbusiness.com.